Hi, so I made my presentation on the whole course overview of Psychology 532 with Professor Gernsbacher, and I chose to do a presentation medium, and my intended audience is middle school, which is why I have kind of a playful theme that you'll see throughout this. So a quick agenda to get started. We'll run through the units from Welcome to the Internet, Learning via the Internet, Educating via the Internet, Communicating via the Internet, Broadcasting via the Internet, Socializing on the Internet, Emotion in the Internet, Motivation in the Internet, Perception and Attention to the Internet, Decision Making on the Internet, Developing and Aging with the Internet, Personality on the Internet, Clinical Psychology on the Internet, and Looking Forward on the Internet. As you can see, there's a pretty common theme here, which I'll be touching on, and that is all of these initial words like learning, educating, communication, and how they are tied to the internet nowadays, versus even a little history on it. So Unit 1, Welcome to the Internet. Now I'm going to touch on what came before the internet, so what was feared before the internet, because we know now that older generations, including some younger generations, are a little afraid of the internet because they did not grow up with it, or they don't know too much about the long-term impacts or things along those lines or in that nature. And then some key skills for employment, which I know you guys have a little bit of time before you need to start thinking about it. You're only in middle school, but they never hurt to get started on it now. So before the internet, some things that were feared were landline telephones. They had decreased intimacy, or a fear of decreased intimacy, I should say, of face-to-face communication and fear of isolation, similar to what we saw in COVID. Phonographs, so the fear of ear damage, fear of unemployment in the music industry, and it strips the music authenticity versus if you were to go into a live performance. Newspapers, so distractions in everyday life, less intimacies with family. You're sitting at the dinner table, dad's reading his newspaper. Not really a good look, but there are more positives to newspapers than there are negatives. And pocket calculator, so fear of ignorance to longhand math and numbing skill. So people that use calculators are not writing out their equations, or maybe not learning some skills that the older generations might have learned in regard to doing some quick math. Now on to employers, so they see computer skills. So nowadays, many jobs require technical knowledge, interpersonal skills, so active listening, body language, overall communication, which I think is one of the most key skills to have in any realm, being able to talk to people. Although we will talk about introversion in a bit, I think that active listening is a great skill to have. Friendly and outgoing personality, being personable and amicable in any environment. This can also be like a detriment to work as well, only because you might engage in groupthink if everyone is agreeing with one another. Who's going to play devil's advocate if everyone's being friendly with one another? Creativity, so confidently expressing yourself and thinking outside the box. Self-confidence, remaining confident in your own abilities, knowing your strengths. And initiative, so showing leadership skills, being resourceful in times of need. So a little blurb about ChatGPT, which has recently been catching wind. So ChatGPT is often negatively misconstrued as a cop-out and neglected to see as a great resource. So professors that are anti-AI should reflect on their materials. Perhaps their materials are only surface level and do not allow for critically analyzing by a non-AI agent, aka humans, us. Now I want to move on to learning via the internet. So some fundamental principles to learning on the internet. So we have critical thinking, navigating incoming information, and evaluating its trustiness. So I think of this also as Bayesian thinking. So are you adapting your mindset when new information is coming at you? Or are you looking for research that is already has the foundation of your own mindset, which is confirmation bias? Then we have optimized performance, so students operate differently and have their maximal performance at different times of the day. I might be a morning person, you middle schoolers might start your day at noon when your brain starts working the best. Like, everyone's different. Deepening memory, so focusing on your memory in order to succeed in the workplace. It's always important to have a good memory. That way you can keep up with tasks and administrative duties. Better mastery, so shorter and more frequent deadlines call for more frequent practice and better mastery. Meaning, having, for example, this course that I'm in, that you have about 80-something assignments, give or take, and these smaller deadlines help you to stay on track, almost. And then enhancing your writing skills, it's always good to educate yourself continuously. Ongoing education is very important, especially when you're out of college. It doesn't mean you're done learning. You'll always be learning throughout your entire life, and it's always important to enhance your writing skills, because emails are very important in any realm or communication, so it is very important to keep up with your writing abilities. Perks of online learning, Khan Academy, it's a great place. It's a study tool for individuals who might be auditory and visual learners, tutorials and DIYs. So again, YouTube, like their how-to lessons, which I get to in a bit, people might utilize those instead of reading a pamphlet on how to build a desk. Learning about niche topics that may not be in the books. So I think this is very important. Like, there are new and upcoming systems like AI that there may not be a lot of research on paper, almost like books, but you can find a lot more on databases in online realms. LinkedIn Learning Games was another one, which I have never tried before this class, and I do like them, and I think once you get older and you guys start to apply for jobs, which I know you guys are only in middle school, these might help you. And then we have our next unit, which is educating via the internet. So traditional lectures, I want to talk about some cons. So if you guys decide to go to college, this would be very important information to know. So traditional lectures where students sit down and listen through auditory processing is much less effective nowadays. People have different types of learning styles. So should professors have more flexible deadlines, the students seem to self-proclaim that it would benefit them to succeed in the academic realm. And traditional lectures are often intimidating, and I could attest to this as my timid self walking into my first lecture. I was very scared. And in-person tuition is on the rise, and college affordability. It's becoming more and more expensive to get educated, to keep buildings, college buildings running is expensive, to house people is expensive, and then notes go from professors' notebooks to students' notebooks. So where are the interpersonal skills, like, or what are you actually learning other than what your one perspective of a professor, as opposed to giving you articles online that are more dragonfly-eyed, which is practically opening yourself up to other perspectives. So online education, according to the Department of Education, so students in online conditions performed modestly better on average than those learning the same material through traditional face-to-face instruction. This was very eye-opening to me as someone who goes to school in person and who has seen better grades in her asynchronous courses than in face-to-face courses. And then again, learning outcomes for students who engaged in online learning exceeded those of students receiving face-to-face instruction, with an average effect size of 0.2 favoring online conditions. So the mean difference between online and face-to-face conditions across the 50 contrasts is statistically significant. Our next unit is communication via the internet. So communication, there's intransient and transient communication. So intransient communication is email, book, letter, journal, so long-lasting communication, so something that's tangible. And then transient communication is intangible, so leaving with a sense of maybe, what did he say? So an unrecorded Zoom interview, Zoom meeting, or an interview, or a run-in conversation at a coffee shop that you can't have had you texted. You don't have that transcript almost. Tips on how to email a professor, or in your case, a teacher. It's important to use your university email account. So using the email provided to you by the school, write informative subject heading, so making sure you are informing whoever you are emailing of what the email is going to be about. Before they open it, they could see that. Writing grammatically, spelling correctly, using paragraph breaks. You don't want one huge blurb of 7 sentences when it could be split up. Address the professor or your teacher correctly. Mr., Mrs., you don't want to use their first name. Start a new chain if it's a new subject, so don't reply to an old email about your math test if you're now talking about your English test. Now we have broadcasting via the internet. So part 1, intentional broadcasting, so videos that were intended to go viral. We have a weird unidentifiable rash, which was about someone who had a rash and wanted to know if any doctors online could identify it, and it was able to broadcast to a large audience of doctors who were able to identify the rash. United breaks guitar. United Airlines broke a plane rider's guitar, and they seemingly were doing nothing about it until it was broadcasted, and then they finally, once it hit a bigger audience, people were able to, the individual was able to get a refund. And then Ice Bucket Challenge, the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge was meant to go viral, and it did, and it raised millions, maybe even billions of dollars as a result. Then we have unintentional broadcasting, so these videos that are not intended to go viral and went viral anyways. So we have Charlie Bit My Finger, which I thought initially was supposed to go viral, but it was actually posted on YouTube for one family to send it to another family, and it went very, very widespread. Cool Wand. We had a student who decided to ask for an extension or missed an exam. I don't really recall what the scenario was, but they were emailing the professor about how they are going to miss said assignment or task. And then a photo of them, this man in a Tinkerbell or princess costume fairy with a wand, went viral, and the professor ended up seeing it and then responded to his extension request with Cool Wand, which is pretty funny. And then we have the text from my ex example. So part 3 of this little blurb of broadcasting is 3 characteristics of a viral video. So point of connection. So it's important. We all know that you connect people to people more who have more in common with you. So there's a point of connection in the video. Emotional salience, which is just as important, like triggering some sort of emotion within the viewer. And then surprising factor, humor. People love that, like a cat falling or something of the like. What is crowdfunding? I read a little research article on crowdfunding, and it's practically getting a large number of people to give you a small donation or pledge in order to finance your project. So an example would be the mom and pop store we see in Madison, needing cash flow and using a GoFundMe to keep themselves afloat. Unit 6, we have socializing on the internet. So I have just a few statistics for this unit that struck me. So 48% of online relationships end online, which is very alarming to me. Although it did not state how far into the relationship it was, it is a little concerning that it's nearly 50%. Then we have 22% of online profiles are created with the help of friends, which is also very interesting to me. And then 53% of people lie on their dating profile, which is very, very alarming, because this is a place to find vulnerability and love, and people are lying on it, and that's the start of the relationship, is on the basis of a lie, which is very alarming. So a niche dating app, I did my discussion post on this little blurb. So Vegly aims to match individuals who are vegetarian or vegan to other vegetarians or vegans. So this is niche in that it is only to be utilized by a specialized group of individuals. So calling each user a veggie, this app aims to promote and match relationship-seeking individuals to other individuals who prefer this plant-based lifestyle. So they claim that this is important in removing any of the awkward questions about diet and what vegetarians or vegans can or cannot eat. And then there was a cyberbullying article by Francis Diep. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. It delved into instrumental aggression and how people have notions that words do not have consequences when they do, and group norms promote aggressive behavior. I also want to touch on this point a little bit. Anonymity plays a key role. So this whole idea of people being anonymous online gives them more confidence to bully people or cyberbully people because they are not being held accountable because they're anonymous, or so they think. And then people brush off their actions, so it was just a joke, when it really wasn't. Even if it was a joke on their end, people might have taken it a different way. Now, interpersonal attraction. We have interpersonal attraction is the attraction between people on either a romantic or platonic level. So similarity attraction underlies the success of online dating sites because individuals who share the same values, hobbies, interests, etc. are more likely to have greater relationships than those who share minimal traits. So the more traits are parallel between individuals, the more happy the relationship is likely to be. This is why apps like Vegly, an app for vegetarians, might have a higher success rate than a traditionally broad range of interests like Tinder, Hinge, Bumble, etc. Interpersonal aggression is an umbrella term for different types of aggression. So, for starters, there's instrumental aggression, which gets at the view that individuals are aggressive for personal material rewards and growth of self. Then there's hostile aggression, which acts as emotional response that is more impulsive and less thought out, and this underlies online bullying because a lot of individuals seek to gain certain social standings on social media and might belittle others through the screen in order to gain more likes or popularity at school the next day. So be wary of that as middle schoolers. Now we have emotion in the internet. So we're going to talk about emotional contagions. You ever see a video of a military homecoming or a soldier homecoming? You feel something, right? You feel happy, or you feel excited, or empathetic that this person hasn't seen their family or their loved one in a little bit. That's an emotional contagion. So it's basically a tendency to feel and express emotions similar to and influenced by those of others. So one person's anxiety or negative thoughts affecting others' mood. So why are cats emotional contagions? This is a fun little anecdote that I thought would be cool for you middle schoolers. Because cats are jerks, they can be very rude. That's why I think people are called catty, because they are quite rude, and it's not a positive word, I don't think. Now we have cats have a great canvas for creative expression. They're the perfect canvas for human projection. And cats have big eyes, small noses, and round heads, making people feel like they need to care for them, and they're obsessed with them. So they have a better emotional contagion towards it. Now I'm going to talk about social support and digital inequality. So individuals who use social networking sites were less likely to face digital inequality and social support. Those who do not network as much lack resources of SNS using counterparts. His idea of SNS being Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook, any sort of social support. Now we're up to motivation and the internet. So types of motivation. We have stimulus response, social, biological, cognitive, affective, cognitive, and spiritual. So these are all whether equally driving someone to complete a task or one outweighing the other. I feel like there are different tasks that require different ones of these. So if I get an Instagram direct message, that would be a social motivation to go check that. Or if I'm feeling sick and I'm searching up my symptoms, that might be more of a biological reason or motivation to check what illness I may have, which I do not suggest. That is not a good idea. WebMD is not a doctor. Motivation in the internet again. So motivation is a state of feeling that one acts on. So it gives direction and perpetuates goal-oriented behavior. This is according to, I believe, dictionary.com. Binge watching TV, so a bit about drivers of binging the internet. So why we binge watch? It's commercial free. Netflix, it's such a big platform because you're not watching any ads and you have unlimited, limited, but seemingly, if you've been on Netflix before, unlimited choices. It allows us to deepen connections with the characters. So the longer you're sitting there watching it, the more emotional contagions make you feel pulled closer to the characters. And then it's already paid for. Whether you middle schoolers are paying for your Netflix subscription or your parents or caregivers, it's already paid for. So you're watching a movie for free instead of going in the movie and paying for a ticket. Cliffhangers, so people are on edge of what's going to happen next, so they watch the next episode, and it's fun to binge watch sometimes. So disruptions in class. So a common misconception is that pre-internet there were not a lot of distractions in lecture. Lectures have always been low stimulation environments. Separating students who write notes versus don't does not benefit either group. So this is why asynchronous learning is an idea. You work at your own pace and free from distractions. So prior to the internet, there was still distractions in class. People would order pizza, bring a whole pot of coffee in. It's just almost transitioned to phones, although there was medias or different things that were disrupting class prior. Perception and the internet. Perception and attention on the internet, I should say. So according to Kendra Cherry, perception includes the 5 senses: touch, sight, sound, smell, taste. It also includes what is known as proprioception, a set of senses involving the ability to detect changes in the body, positions, and movements. So are there benefits to taking photos of our experiences? Again, delving into perception. The benefits are increased engagement. You're immersing the individual into the set experience. It heightens the focus of the event. And this article debunked rumors of how photographing experiences detach the individuals from an experience. In a way, it narrows the attention to the object, focusing the individual better than if they were not tasked with photographing it. I also feel like this has nothing to do with the article, but this is my own little perception of it. If you're taking a video of something, now you have it, you could rewatch it, and it deepens your memory on said experience. Automobile accidents. So misconceptions arise surrounding an increase in automobile accidents after smartphones, but it's actually the opposite. So safety features in cars has increased, which is decreased automobile accidents. Individuals who spend 11 hours of screen time per day are more likely to check a quick message while they're driving. Multitasking diverts attention to something other than the main focus, in this case, driving. So just because the last slide, I just want to say this, touches on how texting while driving has not been statistically proven to be a driver of a general increase in automobile accidents, does not mean it is safe. So do not text and drive. You guys are coming up on the age soon where you'll be getting your learner's permits because you're all in middle school. And this is a huge no-no. Although the amount of accidents has gone down, that is a result of increased safety precautions, not so much, you can text and drive and won't get in an accident. So some funny headlines. These are all relating to how goldfish brains are almost similar to American brains, according to some media articles. So almost playing with the idea that our attention spans have gotten so small that our brains are equivalent to a goldfish. So goldfish have longer attention spans than Americans, and the publishing industry knows it. Canadians now have shorter attention spans than goldfish thanks to portable devices, Microsoft study. We finally did it. Canadians now have a shorter attention spans than goldfish. You now have a shorter attention span than a goldfish. I know these are getting a little repetitive, but study, thanks to our portable devices, our attention spans are now shorter than those of a goldfish. And NBA will consider shortening games due to millennial attention spans. Reasons the internet is not changing our attention. So misconceptions surrounding an increase in automobile accidents as a result of attention to cellular devices is proven untrue. Cars have gotten safer. There is no scientific evidence backing the fact that the internet is changing our attention, and a lot of marketing techniques nowadays actually enhance our concentration and attention. This idea of vigilance decrement is natural and has little to do with the internet. It has been going on prior to the internet as well. Now we're on Unit 10, which is decision making on the internet. Heuristics. This was probably one of my favorite portions of this course, especially when we chatted with our chat groups about it, which are weekly meetings we have as college students. So we have the representativeness heuristic, which takes into account 5-star ratings on products on Amazon. Seeing a 4-star reviewed item with 5,000 ratings versus a product with 5 stars and only 1 rating is very biased. There's the availability heuristic. So if a high schooler sees a video of peers smoking marijuana, they might believe everyone their age is as well and start doing it without research of harmful effects. Then we have anchoring and adjustment. So having a basic plan for $59 and then a premium and premium plus plan for both $125. Most people will choose the premium plus given the middle option, but with only 2 options, people will aim for the $59 option. So it's almost like a money grab for marketing agencies. So some TED Talks. I just want to summarize them very briefly. So we watched a TED Talk by Sally Kohn, which got at the idea that the more times you click on something, the more content they will show you of that. This is similar to me saying out loud maybe the word orange and then it coming up on my TikTok For You page in a few hours. Then we have Monica Lewinsky, and who touched on the detrimental effects of the internet on mental health and how cyberbullying and being in the spotlight is not always used in a positive light. So a closer look at tourist information search behavior when traveling abroad. What is the role of online marketing in choice of destination? An article by Peasantson et al. So studied the role of online marketing in tourist decision-making processes. So do people know their customers' wants in a vacation? What are considered the selling points for these individuals? So they learned a few things. When tourists begin the search for their next vacation, they often have 2 to 3 places in mind that are considered prior to decision-making. So the creation of a bad website is almost always a deterrent for tourism, they learned, but having a good website is nor good nor bad for their reputation. And I think the researchers' conclusions do make sense to me. So this idea that travelers are the most important reference to marketing techniques is crucial. After all, they're the ones bringing in the money, and they're the ones who are paying for the trip. Now I just want to go over some satirical reviews I saw on a toilet fishing game, which I thought was pretty interesting and that middle schoolers would enjoy or get a kick out of. Here's some of the reviews. So my husband is an avid fisherman. Can't wait for him to open this on Christmas. Bought it as a gag gift for my brother, but hearing rave about it, I find myself wanting one now. And got it for a coworker for Secret Santa. Spent more time in the bathroom than actually working. Everyone loved it, except him. LOL. Worth every penny. Now we're on development and aging of the internet. Internet and children. So there is no effect that technology has on rewiring a child brain or causing mental illness as a whole. Social media plays little role in adolescent mental illness and should not be the cause for concern in regard to an increase in harmful attributes less school-related attentiveness, and less sociality with peers. And young children, it is important to maintain privacy of your child and their social media presence. So once they get older, it is important to ensure that they are utilizing social media positively and steering clear of content that suggests maladaptive behavior. Internet and aging adults. So some barriers. So seniors are less confident when they're utilizing devices. A lot of us, or at least me, maybe your grandma or grandpa, or parents, have a little less confidence when it comes to texting really fast or posting something or sending a picture. Most seniors say they need help using new electronic devices, which for a lot of us might be easy because we grew up with it. Roughly 3/4 of the internet users are 65 plus. They say that they go online daily. So these 75% of individuals 65 plus go online daily and utilize the internet, which is pretty mind-boggling to me. So seniors are digitally unequipped. So they just don't have the knowledge or maybe not even the technology to be surfing the internet. Only 1/3 of disabled seniors say they have home broadband. And most seniors say that technology has positively impacted society, which is very eye-opening to me because all the seniors I know say, oh, the internet's so bad, put down your phone, without weighing the pros of it. So little anecdote. So in teaching my grandmother how to send a photo to my father over a message, I learned a lot. So this generation is not exactly opposed to technology. They just need a patient technology user who's willing to walk them through the process. I think if anything, it makes younger and elder generations more engaged and interconnected. After all, I would not be able to speak to my family without technology since I'm from New York and I've been an out-of-state student for the past few years. Now we're up to personality on the internet. So, the Big 5 personality test is a great way to delve into your personality strengths and weaknesses. Personality shines through the internet regardless of what individuals perceive to be actual communication. And here are the Big 5. So this is often used in social emotional learning of individuals your age, actually. So openness, neuroticism, extroversion, conscientiousness, and agreeableness are part of the Big 5, the 5-factor personality test. So I took these, and here are my scores in case you want to know what maybe it means. So openness is my highest, and agreeableness. So I am more likely to be on the agreeing side of an argument or something of the like. And then openness being I'm open-minded to new perspectives, which is very important for being a psychology major, as well as, I believe, any realm. Then my 5-factor, just about the same. My 2 highest were agreeable and openness. So pros and cons of introversion. So we have introverts do not seek praise for their work. Introvert leaders often deliver better outcomes than extrovert counterparts. Former introvert leaders have been transformative, meaning world leaders or country leaders. And there are ways to serendipitously exchange ideas without being in your face about it. Maybe an extrovert saying, like, look what I did, versus an introvert exchanging an idea very quietly. They're not often considered for leadership roles, unfortunately, and they're not praised for their work. There's also a guilt that comes with comfortability in not speaking, which I agree with because I'm pretty much I'd say 100% an introvert, and I always feel guilty when I'm in a discussion and I'm not really contributing, but that is not my primal way of, or optimal way of contributing. If it were online, I would be contributing a lot more. And it's harder to exchange and advance ideas when you're a little on the shyer side. Now we have clinical psychology on the internet. So, what is internet addiction? Psychiatrists and media studies scholars believe there is no such thing as internet addiction. They claim that these individuals who display addictive tendencies and previously addicted to non-internet gambling, shopping, pornography, etc., They claim that internet is the medium for addiction, but it is not the addiction itself, which was very eye-opening to me. So, now let's talk about cognitive behavioral therapy. Cognitive behavioral therapy is typically a one-on-one meeting with a certified professional in an aim to better how your thought and actions play out, aka cognition and behavior. It promotes a safe and healthy relationship between your mind and your behaviors in any and all situations. Now, the applicability of this on some different scales is micro, so family counseling, one-on-one counseling, meso, which is a little more broad, so school practice, small groups, counseling, community CBT awareness efforts. And then macro, which I think is one of the most important realms, is public policy pertaining to easier access to CBT and related therapies. And I kind of wanted to wrap up this unit and this course by talking about dementia and the internet, which has affected my family personally. So online interventions under the name Mastery Over Dementia were implemented into 251 Norwegian families' daily realms. Studies showed that family members of individuals with dementia who utilized online interventions were less likely to display anxiety and depression symptoms. Thank you for watching. I do want to talk about Unit 14 for a bit, but without the slides because I feel like it's more important to hear it than to see the content of this. So this whole idea of where is the internet going and what is happening. So we know that AI has been having detrimental effects on our world, whether good or bad. It's been used in actually cognitive behavioral therapy in a study called growth therapy, where individuals can opt into their therapy sessions being heard by AI and taking the clinician's notes for them to avoid clinician burnout and administrative tasks and stuff of the like, which could be seen as a positive and maybe a little unethical, but that's a story for another day. There's also, it's great to make study guides, it's great for materials and different realms that has its fortes, I'd say. And it's very important to know that it also has pretty negative effects. So this idea of AI that's been widespread and I think is going to be a huge part of our future, even though it's just now starting, I think it's important to note that I believe every time you ask a query or a question to AI, it is depleting some water supply that is technically, if you think about how many people are using AI, a lot of water. And we do have a finite amount of water on this planet. And getting rid of it just by asking a question to AI, I feel like there are better ways to answer the questions, which is why, as of right now, I'm a little against AI. But I do see it going into a progressive direction. And I think it could be very good for our future, should we use it the correct way. So, thank you for watching. I believe that the internet is heading in a trajectory of positivity, although there's negatives to everything, right? So, as important as it is to weigh the negatives, it's also important to see that there are positives in this, regardless of stubborn individuals who might say the internet sucks, but it really is a great place for learning, broadcasting, communicating, every unit that I touched on almost. I can't help but question where we will be 20 years down the line. Will we have maybe 3D holograms for FaceTime where it's a life-size hologram of an individual you're FaceTiming and it feels like you're in the same room as them? That would be a cool addition. And it's just an exciting thing to think about, or realm. And I always love to hear what people have and feedback from others of what is to come for the internet or the future of psychology and the application of the internet in the realm of that, which is kind of the studies I'm going into. And I just want to say thank you for watching. And if you have any questions, please let me know. You can reply to this. Thank you.